But I'm curious, you've done a lot of work now. If someone has never seen anything that you've done, what's the first thing you want them to watch?
Oh, that's a good question. That is a good question. Um, I mean, assuming that they then go on to watch everything,
Of course.
uh, I think, I don't know. Uh, that is really, really difficult. I'd say something beautiful and heartfelt, and I think just an amazing work of art. Maybe Atonement by Joe Wright, who directed that, the Ian Kewan novel adaptation with Keira Knightley and many, many others. Because that's just maybe my favorite film that I've ever been in to watch. I don't know, perhaps. And then do something completely opposite, like Filth, which is depraved and strange and surreal and dangerous and quite strange. Yeah.
You were in Children of Dune many years ago. Does that mean that you...
Dude, yes.
Say it again?
Yeah, I'm like, well done. You're diving deep in all the kind of sci-fi fanboy stuff. This is good.
Right. So my question is, how excited are you for Dune?
Oh, I'm really excited. I mean, I've not only was I in that, I've read all those books. I've read his son's prequels. I've read the Butlerian Jihad. I've done it all. I dove deep into those, so I'm very, very excited. Massively excited. Those books get mental, like crazy, weird, like trippy, psychedelic, strange by about book 3 and 4. And there's a lot of book after that as well. But no, I'm really, really excited.
I may have seen it already. And in fact, I have. And I'm just going to say to you as a friend and, someone who I know you love movies, for the love of God, see that in IMAX. It really is an experience.
Okay, cool. I'm definitely going to do that. Thank you.
I want to stress this. It's phenomenal. Like, it doesn't make sense how good Denis made this movie. It's just an experience.
Wow.
You'll see. When you get out of the theater, you'll be like, Steve told me this. It really was that good.
Okay, I'm in.
When did you feel like you made it enough as an actor that you could continue to pay rent by just acting?
Ooh. Do you know what? The reality is that happened quite early for me, quite quickly, but the perception of it didn't come for years. So even though I had that money in the bank and I felt and the work was coming in on a regular basis, and people would be looking at me going, well, you've got a career that any young actor would love to have. It didn't feel real, and I didn't feel the reality of it. I didn't perceive it as real for quite a few years, because the fact is, as an actor, you can be getting all the work in town, and then it all dries up and you have nothing. So what's hot today is not tomorrow. So it took me quite a few years to feel that not only could I pay my rent, but that I had a place in the industry that was relatively safe, and that even if the movies and the TV shows stopped calling, I would one day still be able to go and do theatre somewhere, anywhere, in a community centre, and somebody will have me. You know what I mean? So that took maybe like 5 or 6 years, maybe longer.
So jumping into My Son, this is a very unusual project because and I really need you, so I fully understand it. Your part is improvised, and everyone else's has a script and knows where it's going.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, everybody else has to work with me a little bit. So I'm coming in with different moves. They might have to adjust a little bit. So they're improvising a little bit, but they have the story, they have the script, they have certain lines that they kind of have to get out. They know where it's going, and they know where I'm going, crucially as well. But I'm kind of learning what the film is about. I'm learning what kind of film I'm in, along with the audience. So it was weird. It was crazy. You've got a really simple emotive storyline, which is your son is missing. And I was given, on the first day of the shoot, I was given some coordinates, and I drove to them at 4 o'clock in the morning, in the dark, in the mountains of Scotland, in the Highlands. And the coordinates took me to a ferry terminal. And I thought, okay, well, I'm going to drive the car onto the ferry. And I drove the car onto the ferry. As I'm driving onto the ferry, I'm like, oh, there's the camera crew. Okay, this is the beginning of the film. It was crazy. It was really, really crazy.
Now, I'm assuming you didn't see the original, or you did?
Luckily, I hadn't seen it, which made the experience, I guess, more pure for me. The director was very keen to preserve the sanctity of the experience for me. And luckily, I hadn't seen the film. I hadn't even seen the trailer, which is interesting because I was a fan of the directors before. We nearly made a film called Joyeux Noël together about the Christmas armistice in World War One, which I think won an Oscar for Best Foreign Language Film, maybe. And then we didn't do it. And then James McAvoy, who I'm a fan of as well, was in the original with the same director. So it's lucky that I hadn't seen it because I would usually check them out. But I watched the trailer recently for the French one, and it was interesting. It was really interesting to see the crossovers and the similarities. But it was a wild ride, man. Like, I remember being asked to do it, and I just said yes immediately. And my agent was like, "Do you want to meet the director?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, but I'm going to do it." And they're like, "Do you want to, get an idea of what's going on? Do you want to watch the trailer for the other one?" I'm like, "Absolutely not. I'm just going to do the film." And I think everybody was a bit like, "You're jumping into this a bit quickly." And I'm just like, "Well, come on, man. You can pay a lot of money to go and have a 30-minute experience where you go and try and get out of an escape room and maybe get chased by zombies, and maybe there's a bit where you have a choice to make, and then you leave and you get a drink at the bar." And this is like the platinum bespoke VIP, just for me, 2-week version of that, where I just got to live the movie. It was incredible. So, for example, the director, he kept me separate from the cast, he kept me separate from the crew, even though we were all in a bubble, a COVID bubble in the same hotel. I had to be separate, completely separate, so that nobody would give anything away. And I was a bit like, come on, I think you're being a bit extreme here. But sure enough, the first day I walked into the hotel, I went to the office where the production crew were all, to get my per diem. And people were trying not to speak to me and all that kind of stuff. And then I saw the armorer come in and talk about where he could keep weapons and things like that. And I was like, oh God, all right, so now I know there's weapons in the film. Do you know what I mean? So I'm like, So I then made sure I had blinkers on and had earphones on and didn't look at anybody, didn't talk to anybody, and all of that. That lasted for about 2 weeks. And then for the last 3 days of the shoot, I was able to mix with people because we were just shooting some action stuff by that point.
So I am so curious. As I was watching it, I was wondering, there's a bit where it sort of goes out of focus a little bit. And it made me realize how many things did you redo because it wasn't in focus or something got wrong with the camera?
Not a lot. There was a couple of things where, I don't know, let's say I decided to climb a tree. The director would be like, "Cut, that was really interesting. That was a wonderful choice. However, we need you to jump down the cliffside rather than climb up the tree. Do you think that's possible?" And I'd be like, I guess it has to be because the scene is up the cliff, right? And he's like, "Maybe." I'm like, "All right, I'll go down the cliff." So there's a couple of moments like that. But generally speaking, we didn't really redo much at all. Maybe walking into a room sometimes I'd redo it, or setups, like driving up to a building. Sometimes we can redo those things because it's not like those moments. It's not like those moments are the highlight or the essence of the soul of the experience. Do you know what I mean? So we redid those things a couple of times. And some of the action stuff we had to redo a few times just because you do with action, don't you? Because people will get hurt otherwise. Although the first fight scene I have in the movie was completely improvised, and it was really quite hard because I'm in this scene going, as an actor, I'm going, I'm about to get into a fight, and I'm like, I'm definitely going to get into a fight, and as a character, I'm going, I want to get into a fight, but as an actor, I'm going, how am I going to improvise this fight? Do you know what I mean? Because I'm like, I don't want to just tussle. I don't want to just wrestle. Two men sort of wrestling. I'm like, if I'm going to fight you, I'm going to try and knock the face off. Do you know what I mean? But at the same time, you don't want to then hurt a fellow actor, just because of this cool experience. That's not valid. That's not okay. So I thought to myself, I'm going to throw this punch as hard as I can, but I'm going to pull it at the last minute, and then I'm just going to shout cut, and then we'll figure something out. We'll choreograph it. Well, that didn't go to plan. He flinched the wrong way than I expected him to, which of course is completely to be expected. So I smacked him straight in the mouth, and then it kind of went on from there, and we carried on scuffling and fighting. But so the physically improvising fight scenes is almost ridiculous, but it was part of the experience that Christian wanted to capture.
I know the fight you're talking about, and I can't imagine, because for people that don't realize, fights are highly choreographed on set, done with the ultimate for safety for all people involved. It's really hard when the other actor has no idea how you're going to throw the punch, what you're going to do, and all has to be on camera.
Yeah, I know, it was crazy. So after that first take where we captured a lot of real stuff, a fight coordinator came in and we redid a couple of things. But by and large, what you see on camera is what happened on that first take.
So I don't want to get into specifics because I want people to watch it. However, there is some big action and big stuff that happens in the third act. And I'm just curious, how much of that was completely improvised? How much of that was, figured out? Because there's a lot going on in that third act.
Yeah, no, I know. The stuff in the car was not improvised. That was sort of choreographed. The stuff with the little kind of game of cat and mouse with me and the guys in that place, that was largely improvised. There's a bit where I get up on a table. I don't know if that's still in the movie. I can't remember. There's a bit where I get up on a table and I'm like, just wait.
No, that's in the. Yeah, that's in the movie where you're holding the thing on the table. Yeah.
And I'm like that. I was just certain someone's going to come in. And again, I'm like, I'm holding like a lead pipe. I don't want to brain this person. Do you know what I mean? Then the person maybe does not come in. But that was pretty wild. That was really, really wild.
I still can't believe it. It's just crazy that you guys pulled this off, because as I'm watching it, I'm like, some of this anyway. So how many takes were ruined overall because the director then said, okay, this, you know what I mean? Like, I guess I'm just curious, like how he inserted the story onto the performance and how he shaped it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I think there weren't that many takes that were ruined. There was like maybe a couple, like 4 or 5 times where he said to me, I am so sorry that we can't go with your instinct. Your instinct is like, the movie lies in a different direction. And I would love to be able to sort of bend the movie to you right now, but it's kind of impossible if you don't make a different decision. So would you like to improvise the scene again? And he'd maybe kind of give me a pointer, but generally just hope that I'd sort of by instinct realize that I had to do something else. And, there were pointers, you'd walk into a room and you've got 2 cameras here, you'd be aware that your stage was over here. Do you know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't go, well, I'm going to go act in the bathroom and I don't care. Cameras can't see me. Do you know what I mean? So there was, your craft leads you to figure out where you've got to do what you've got to do. But by and large, he would either bend to me or I would just get the drive and the motion of the film and be swept along with it in the right direction as well.
I got 2 last things for you because I got to wrap. When you obviously you like to prepare as an actor for whatever you're going to do, but without a script, well, I'd like to think so, but anyway. So, but how do you prepare for a character and a shoot when you have no idea where it's going to go?
Well, look, the truth is, Christian said to me, look, I want you to do this because whenever I'm watching you, I feel like I never know what you're going to do next. I feel like you're just off the cuff coming up with stuff and like all that. And I was like, kind of the opposite is true. I'm quite a considered, thoughtful, planned out actor. Like, I try and do the things that I mean to do. I try and do them as well as I can. And then sometimes something interesting that I didn't expect comes, and that's great. But it all comes from, this is the story I want to tell, and this is how I've planned that I want to tell it. So actually, I was like, oh God, I don't think I'm quite the actor you think I am. But it will be a good challenge for me, because it was a complete opposite from what I usually do, which is not necessarily prepare like people think actors do, like in terms of like research and getting into the character and all that kind of stuff. But just in terms of plotting out my performance, you know. So I wasn't able to do any of that. I got a page and a half of information telling me who I was, where I was from, how my childhood was spent, what my relationship with my parents was like, what my relationship with my former partner was like, what my career has been like, the breakup between me and my former partner, and the ostracization between me and my son, because I've not really seen him in years, and how I'm somebody who compartmentalizes and can detach and not really, and is it okay not being that caring a father, and that's really what I had to go on, and nothing else. Just
my last thing for you, I'm a fan of his Dark Materials, and yeah, I've seen it all. My girlfriend and I both like it. So I'm just curious what's going on with season 3. Are you filming it, or have you wrapped? I mean, I don't even know.
I've done about 7 weeks on it, and I've got another 3 or 4 to do in November. Yeah, I mean, I've been loving it. I had a whole thing built into season 2, which got busted by COVID. So really, all my stuff is in season 3 now. I'm loving it, absolutely loving it. Love getting to run around with the snow leopard, also known as Amber Rose Perry, who's an amazing puppeteer. And getting to work with some incredible people and just tell that story, that really bold, quite at times controversial story as well, especially when you get into what happens at the end of season 3. So it's exciting to be a part of it.
My last thing for you, but I just got to ask you, I really am, as you know, a big fan of your work. And I just want to know, going back to Glass and Split, there are scenes where you are playing multiple people in, like the multiple personalities. How exactly did you prepare for that? Because as I watch your performance, I'm just literally blown away by how you pulled that off. How long before you were filming were you practicing this to do it on screen?
Split, not very long. I had like about a week and a half, 2 weeks, because I think it was Joaquin Phoenix was doing it before I did it, and then he backed out for some reason. And then the second one I had longer, but I also had more than twice the amount of characters to do. Really just, I don't know, just figure out who each of them are, what each of them sound like, what each of them move like, figure out why each of them is there, what each of them wants, and then do what I usually do, which is just plot how they are relevant and what are they doing to help tell the story, and then try and use that as much as possible to make their time on screen valid, which is really what like you're always trying to do with any character. You know what I mean? Like the audience's attention is finite. Every second you're doing stuff, every second you're on screen, you're using up their attention. So you've kind of got to validate every single moment that you're doing something or you're on screen. And if there isn't a validation for it, then they shouldn't be on screen. And I struggle with that as an actor sometimes, because quite often you find yourself on screen going, I don't know why this scene exists. I don't know why I'm saying anything right now, because none of it's driving the story forward, or none of it's forcing the audience to watch further. And you if it isn't there on the page, then you've got to try and fill that with some kind of vibrancy or entertainment or nuance or something, So that's sort of just doing what I usually do with all my characters, but doing it with 20 odd characters rather than just one,
By the way, I know that Joaquin would have been good, but I don't know how he would have been better than you, because I really think your performance, especially in the last one, is just fucking great. Sorry for my language.
Thanks, man. No, I don't mind. I swear all the time. Thank you very much, man. You're very kind. Listen, he's an incredible actor. I'd almost love to see him do it. I think it'd be a different kind of thing, but he's brilliant. I'm sure he'd do amazing.
I got to stop. Congrats on this. I thought you did a great job. And as you know, man, if I can help with anything on Collider, please let me know. and happy to help.
Thank you very much. Very kind. Cheers, man.
Cool, man. I'll catch you later.
Take care. Bye.